Now, we are recording this. This particular thing, a proposal for a federal Genetic Privacy Act, I would look at it a few different ways. I would go in and I would take some of these major subject headings. As you can see, they're also linked. You can copy and paste them and take them into your search, but I kind of like to just start copy and paste them into a separate document and organizing them alphabetically, because they're not just good for here, but you can use them in other databases, and sometimes you can combine and mix them up with the and statements that would work out much better. This lets me know, of course, it's peer-reviewed. And another important thing this item has, it has the list of legal cases that are referred to for this piece. That would be extremely valuable for your literature review, your law legislation section. If you have something like that, you may have some of these, but not all of them. But Google also has a pretty good law research piece that will find these for you. So those have a great deal of value. The next thing I do is look at the article itself to see what it does for us. We have the introduction, and I'm trying to see what kind of way they're putting together, the danger and the compromise. It looks like it's using maybe Chicago, not APA. You know how sometimes with, well, most of the time with APA we have the references at the end. This is using a, I think it's Chicago, and it's using more like a footnote system. So these footnotes actually will match up to the end part. So it looks a little odd, but instead of seeing like a parentheses or something like that on something, we'll see 19, and that tells you that goes with 19. Never replicate this in your own work because it's a different style, and sometimes that does confuse people. But this does let us know when we go down here, down the end, conclusion. No, it's going to really make us hunt. So these are very brief, but they should give you enough information to find things. This lets us know this is a book from 1999. This looks like it may have some legal information. It may be slim pickings on pulling where they got materials from. But I just want to make sure when you're in here and doing this, especially when you're working at the dissertation level, that in most cases that you're not allowed to use secondary resources. That is, if you see something and it has a citation with it, you will be tempted to use this part, but what you really need to do is find the original piece and use that, because if not, it'll be S-cited and that'll look kind of bad on you. So so the front part, the introductions and literature reviews, have all that stuff in there. So make sure when you see those that you know to go to the journal finder, to go to the different databases to locate the items in full text. Let's see what else we can get from this. Maybe not too much. I'm going to copy the title just in case. Okay. So from there, so that was a full text article. So if your rubric said clearly for this particular thing you need an annotation for 5 different scholarly articles, that would totally apply for that. Ethics Watch. This talks about the ethical implications of genome sequencing in the military. You've made me say a bunch of words I can't say altogether. This is going to be awesome. Have you found this article yet in your research? It's 2011. I see from here, 2011, 2017. It's a little old, but I'm going to copy the title. I'm going to show you how, when it's a little old, but it's really what you kind of need. It's still useful for you, but you'll probably need to represent something in the past 3 to 7 years. It's given us a splendiferous amount of subjects. This article focuses on the sequencing technologies and the ethical implication. It also throws you something else. Have you done any research on the Jason Defense Advisory Panel yet? No. Okay, so you totally need to add that to your page because it may have something to do with what you're working on. You also can use something like that as a search term in and of itself to find what people have written about it. So again, subject terms, there's actually at least 2 or 3 here we haven't seen before That is useful. This lets us know the author is affiliated with the Center for Integration of Research on Genetics and Ethics. Have you heard about this group before? All right, so I would copy and paste that business in your kind of search. Sometimes when people do publishing, they do white papers or do presentations and kind of like things that don't end up in the journals and other places. But this seems to be a key place that's working on this topic. So you absolutely want to have some things from their website, their white papers, their presentations, conferences, and maybe they'll have something in close by you and you can drive over and actually see a real speech or something like that. You never know. You can find some odd coincidences in here. And I do want to make sure, because when something is a scholarly article, one of the really awesome things about it is that it's transparent. Like you should be able to reproduce it should you have that $1 million or so to do so. But also see the authors. It gives you their name and it also tells you where they work. And you could actually write them questions. Because the dissertation is a long-term process. They may not get back to you over the summer, but certainly in fall semesters and things like that, they might check out their mail, and if you had a question for them, and you could include something like that in your work as well as personal interviews. So the value of using a scholarly article is pretty big because you can actually get a hold of the people. Let's take a look at this article and see how they have it set up. Nature Reviews Genetics. It has a DOI number. That is awesome. Ethics Watch. Okay, this is not a scholarly article, but it is in a scholarly journal. It's important to remember the difference. In a dissertation, I think you still have a lot of use in this, but if you're rubric and you're doing annotations building up to it, your professor might go, well, this isn't a scholarly article and you didn't meet the thing. But you can still use it and get your information, start working on this JSON part. It talks about potential benefits in biobank. Did you know about the DoD's mandatory DNA biobank?
Yes.
Awesome. So you're going to go through these and find those slivers of information. I still think this might be useful for you, but it is not a scholarly article.
So I didn't see the very top of the page.
Oh, sorry. Dang.
That's okay.
Is it up here?
So what was it that you said it wasn't a scholarly article?
The best that these databases can do, they can find a scholarly journal. But a scholarly journal sometimes will have like a news thing. This happens to be a column called Ethics Watch. And when your professor is driving you to get to a scholarly article, they're wanting you to find things that have research that set up hypotheses and test against different ideas and themes and then present their research. These pieces, they have a very specific format to them. You're going to have your abstract. You're going to see how you can contact the people. You're going to see everything they read to get there, the methodology. You're going to see all exhaustively their tables, their math, what they did, what they came up with, the conclusions, including what they should have done better, and a list of references. This has not many of those, but it does have some references. I would go through those references and check them out to see if they might be of use to you. This will be great for your dissertation. I just wanted to warn you, if you have a discussion post or an annotation type assignment that wants a scholarly article, this won't meet it. This will help you find one probably, and will help you gain some understanding. You can totally use it in your dissertation, but I just don't want you to get caught up in the rubric thing that requires a scholarly article. You know what I'm saying? Awesome. So, because that is confusing to students and everybody, like it says it is, but no. Something, the best thing it can do. And it is confusing sometimes because like a medical journal can have like a list of 30 or 40 references in a letter to the editor. So just make sure it has the parts. So is that the one we went into? Oh, so this is the next one. So actually this search up here, I'm going to take a little picture of it if you don't mind, just to send it to you. This isn't a bad search. and I did it with all the databases. So I'm going to send that to you later with a couple other handouts. It looks like it's turned into some pretty good things. It is quirky and a huge search, but like you said, your piece is kind of unusual. This talks about 1996, them trying to address genetic discrimination. That seems a little old to me, but I'm going to show you how to use Google Scholar and to find the things that were written about it. So it still may have a lot of value to you. And it may have some history about the health insurance laws and things like that. A biowarfare stimulant. I'm not sure about that one. Well, and this is something about a very specific type of thing, I guess, based on on Asian men that they may face. That would probably definitely be very interesting. I can see from here that it's 10 pages long. It has a DOI. It has some different subjects. At this point, a lot of the subjects are kind of broad, but this talks about some of the diseases and conditions that may be caught up in your research. So those subjects also definitely have a lot of you can get a lot of road work out of those. So does that make sense to you, kind of broadly how I went through this list? So I probably found only 2 or 3 academic articles, even though they did say this, just to let you know. Now here you're working over a long term and not a short term, but if you saw this and you were doing the discussion post, I would suggest that you move along. But in this case, look for full text. You're working on dissertation, you got some time. This says we don't have it. Sometimes this will take you to one of our other databases that does have it. In this case, it has this strange thing called ill. That's what it looks like from here anyway. Have you used that before?
I've gotten that message where it says look for full text, and I've clicked on it, and basically I've never gotten anything from it.
Okay, I'm just going to send you something in the stuff I send you after we talk, because what it does when it works correctly is give us, I'm not going to waste your time with too much of this, but that's what it does when it works correctly from the database. It actually fills everything in for you, because you can use this and find things from Google, but you're going to have to fill in all the pieces, and they really actually do want volume, issue, which is very painful because I just want to send them a citation, but that's not how it works. And you fill this in and put it in, and usually you might get something in a week to 2 weeks. It's just that they're not going to get you books. They will try to look for articles for you though. So it is neatly tied in there if you want to use it. As long as it's not a discussion post or something you need in 2 weeks, it should be pretty effective. So I'll just send that to you just in case, so you look over again. For those times that you're time pressed, you need to get something done, you can select full text. And you can select references available, because that's going to take away some of those little news articles that we saw. It'll strip those out of your search. But in this case, as you can see, it probably stripped out too much. So we do have this particular one. But so that's not a good search for this. It may be all those databases together can't really crunch that up. So this is a number of databases with this one particular search. It looks like we might have found 5 different things. So are you comfortable with that particular approach? I'll send the link kind of thing to it. So that's one thing. And while I'm in here, I just want to make sure I go over this with you. I'm going to be sending you something I call my incredibly ugly but effective APA piece. Where are you with your APA? Strong? Medium?
I mean, I have the book.
Okay.
So when I get down to it, I just flip through my book and
yeah.
try to, nug through it. So.
Well, the book is the perfect way to go. I don't know if you know, but they do have citations here. They're usually not right, and sometimes students don't know that. It's just hard, like the database can't pick it can pick a scholarly journal, but not a scholarly article. It can't get all the periods and the capitalizations in the right way. For instance, this one actually may be pretty good. So what I do with these is I copy and correct them later, because usually they do have all of your information. You just may need to see if it's capitalized correctly. There's a strangeness with the italics that are for the name of the journal and the volume number. And when there's more than one page, you should have a beginning and ending page number for APA. But I do think that was the one that was really short. So this one actually looks pretty good and good to go. But what I do is I put them all together, and then I go back and correct them as a whole. What I'll be attaching to is a checklist. So if you use it on your references, you'll be able to check your authors, your titles, and everything, that all kind of in a list that makes sense. And after you use it a couple of times, you'll have them pretty much memorized. Because it isn't rocket science, but it is kind of picky. Yes, it is. All right, so that's that. I'm going to send you the APA paper that's going to help you out. On my APA paper, I show you how to use the APA style blog, or I introduce it to you. Because your particular blue book was published, I think, in 2010, but there have been some things that have changed that time, such as there was no Snapchat or no Twitter or Facebook, and at some point you might find some of these very useful. Like if you're looking for first-person reviews of persons that were affected by these policies and you wanted to use some of their chatter or something like that on social media, APA Style Blog will give you those examples of how to do that the book just doesn't have, because these things didn't exist. It's sort of the thing that's connecting us to the future issue. And I'll have that information on the handout. From here, I'm just going to go to like one of my favorite places, and this is also going to take care of a lot of things for you. As you might have seen, we had over 100 databases, and we have that library search that doesn't really cover that many of them, and it mushes all these things together like videos and really short articles. So my preferred place to go is Google Scholar. And you get to Google Scholar by scholar.google.com. And if you've used it in the past, you might have found it to be totally worthless. I'm going to show you how to set it up so it has great, infinite, awesome value to you. So go over here. One of the things...
Every time I've used Google Scholar and I've found something, I've gone back into our library and then tried to find the articles there.
Okay. I'm going to show you how to put that together. So you already got the idea. You're going to go over to the left. I know some computers have it here, some of it have it here, but it's a settings button. It's a little gear. You have here library links. And I've already set it up for today. It'll save on your computer. Mine doesn't do that every day. I type in Argosy, and you get 3 selections. Check them all, and save. Now, see if I have that article. Well, we see what I was searching earlier today. I'm going to have to just put in something. Genetic testing, ethics, military. All right, that's kind of a broad one. And over here, I want you to see how that totally changed the game. Find it at Argosy. Find it at Argosy. ResearchGate.net is also a free place. As long as you're signed in to the Commons, when you click on this, it'll take you into the database that has it. And I like...
As long as you sign into the Commons.
The Commons, that thing... Yeah. I'm sorry, the Commons. I'm not sure what it's called. Yeah, as long as you're signed there in the background, that gives, you know, that little electronic token that takes you through.
Okay.
So let me...
And if you're not paying attention, there's, you know, it's probably going to log you out then.
Yes.
Spend too much time reading stuff on Google Scholar, you know, then you're going to get logged out of Argosy.
And I'm going to send you a secret code that lets you log back in.
I'm going to get a secret code.
I'm giving you a secret code. So let me put it in my notes.
Oh, boy.
As long as it logs you out. Yeah, right? As long as it logs you out, you're getting the code. The code. Well, I can see what you've been doing right now. You've been jumping around a lot. You're like, really? jumping around a lot. So this is going to smooth that out. If it logs you out as something like EBSCO and you get the EBSCO ring of death, which you'll know it when you see it, but if it logs you out and it goes to Google Scholar, I'm going to send you that sign in.
You know how annoying that is?
Yes.
All of a sudden while you're writing something
Yeah.
and you're logged out, it's just so annoying.
I think that's a very kind word for that experience.
It
Absolutely.
drives me because I wanted to give my laptop jump in and shut the window.
Yes. Yes, I do. Like, really? Because sometimes, I swear, you get like, sometimes you feel like you get a good hour in before it realizes that you can't be where you're at.
You just get on that roll and you're like, all right, I got this, I got this.
S-
And you're
Yeah.
like, man, really?
Yes, really. That's what it does. Okay, so this has a lot of weird stuff in it. I prefer searching with an article. Let me see if I can find an article. Probably not. Sorry, I'm jumping around here. This means nothing, but I'll just use this. Because if you go into Google Scholar with I gotta figure out where I hit it. If you go into it with search terms, sometimes it's just a real. Okay, I'm gonna go in a different way. I lost myself in all my things. Sorry about that. I guess it was that hating part. Let me make sure I'm argosied in. Yes, I am. So now I'm going to put in a title of an article you may or may not use. This, of course, lets us know that it's argosy. That happens to be where I found it. When you see plos.org, that's kind of an open resource academic research area. Those are usually kind of often pretty good. So those are good. So it's in both places. But one of the great things that this does is, remember I said, well, hey, this is 2012, it's 2018. Sometimes we need things are 3 to 5 years closer to, be up to date and current. This is the beautiful thing it does. Cited by 28 other articles. Those other articles are going to be newer. 2015s, 2014s, a little bit, yeah, 2015s. And you'll see also, find it at Argosy, find it at Argosy, find it at Argosy. Do you see what I mean? Kind of lights it up for you to see what we have and what you can get to full text. And now,
It
suppose,
says cited by 119
yes,
other
uh,
articles.
yes. And that's one of your big questions when you're doing this work. How do I know this article's any good? Like, how do I know if this is well regarded or
Well, if you
not?
click on that, that'll give you 119 articles.
119
What did
articles that cited that article. Yes. And if you look over here and you have your thing set up, so essentially, part of your literature research is you're going through this process of understanding how these concepts fit together. This kind of helps you go ahead and do that and find the things that are connected. Like, yes, in 2013 we did this, in 2016 we did this, in 2018 this happened. And it shows you how the different knowledge and ideas and things progress. So if you put in something like your ACTs and your JSONs and your other acronyms and things like that, you can also kind of see how those come up in the literature and connect to each other as well. Did you see your literature research part of your dissertation just fell totally fell in line? Now, suppose this for some reason is an awesome article, and the things like chaos theory or lean or some other things. Sometimes they start out in one place and then they mutate to another place, and people use them in a cross-disciplinary way, which is really awesome, except when you're doing research and it's in your way. You can click here and search within the citing articles and put in military or some other term and strip out the junk articles that are cross-disciplinary that have nothing to do with what you want to deal with. And it changes your search and just brings up things that theoretically have that topic in it. Now, if you decide to start to break it down to look at it by ranges, maybe you want to see how some things looked in the 90s, the 80s, or whatever, you can bring this custom range in here, and that'll help you do those. Because while we do talk about 3 to 5 years being great, your topic has been ongoing and changing, and the concept of what is ethical with genetics is still changing as we're talking right now. So your range of things you can cover is pretty big, but you can also set this to only look for things since 2017 to find just the new fresh things that you need. Sometimes you'll see one that has all three versions, and it has multiple versions that have been published in different places. If it didn't have a full text there, it may have here. In this case, this one didn't, but sometimes this has 22 versions. It's likely you'll be able to get to one of them. And this little piece means a lot to me. It's because I don't know how you work. I wish I worked in a very neat, beautiful manner, but sometimes I'm chaotic, and I assume that I will make I will understand my abbreviations that I make of things. And then when I start working on my references, I realize how highly hilarious that is. How is I going to understand an abbreviation for a journal I've never saw in my life? When you click these under a title, while it's not correct, it gives you a lot of information. Sometimes you're missing or you're lost. These are kind of like last minute ways to check. It has your author, your dates, your title, the journal title, the volume, the issue numbers, and very importantly, when you can't find them, beginning and ending page numbers. So they're not correct as is. That one's really close, but it's also could be very helpful for you when you're cleaning up your work. Now, this is one of the really great things that you can do, is you can create an alert. This means while you're sleeping, Google Scholar can be working for you. My alert query here is what drives academic data sharing, and anything that cites this, because I was searching for an article, any new thing that cites this, I want to send it to my email and let me know about it. You can also change it into with it's oh, sorry about that. I had to get out of there. Military genetic testing as a topic. If I want things that have been published since 2017, I'm going to go in and create my alert, and anything that has that title or kind of topic and create the alert, it will actually email it to me so that you can actually do some research while snoozing. So that's also an awesome thing that you can do. And I believe if you sign in with your Google Alert profile, that you might also be able to save them into Google Drive as well. So that's a pretty complete package. So I covered a lot of things kind of together. I at least recorded almost 30 minutes of this talk, and I'll be able to send that. Hopefully I'll be able to send that to you. Yes, I do see my little microphone. All right, is there anything you would like me to go into?
No, I mean, you were just a big help. It's always interesting because I can't think of any questions right now, but I always have a million questions when I'm trying to find stuff.
All right.
And, but now that I just kind of have like this refresher course, if I do have any questions or whatever that I can't sort of seem to figure out, I'll just fire off an email to you and say, hey,
Yeah, that's our. Yeah, it's a perfect way to work with me. If it looks complicated, I'll make you a video. I'll make you, if it's somehow you got stuck with some keywords or something like that, I'll crunch down some words and list and kind of shoot it back for you to try out. It has to do with like, yeah, we wore that database out. Why don't you look at this one, and I'll send you some information on that and keep you rolling.
Yeah, I guess probably the biggest issue or whatever that I've had was, like I've found articles or whatever that were relevant that I've gotten like just the titles for, and then when I try to click on the title, there's like no information there.
So what were you searching when that happened? Were you in Google or just?
No, like in our library, in my bookstore or something.
Did you use that big search? Did you use this
I'm not
business?
sure.
Like, did you use
Yeah,
this?
that's typically the one that I'll use, or I'll use the database list or whatever.
Yeah, wait, just go to the database list. I'm just going to go into academic search real quick because I do love the EBSCO databases better. And when you go in there, this is how we eliminate that if you really need to get to the full text immediately. First of all, you should spell things right because it does not correct you. But
Okay.
just
So
go,
when
just
I've been in that database there, and say for example I picked on whatever the article was, and then I'd open it up, and then it would just have like just the title information, and then it wouldn't have any of the other information available. Like, and you did it already. It would say for more information, click on whatever,
yeah.
and I would never be able to access that information. So how do we get to that?
Okay, so I'm going to send you in your handouts Iliad, how to sign up for Iliad, and you will fill that form out if it will not fill out for you and start asking for those things. Because this is your dissertation, you need to start collecting them. Another thing you can do if it's too frustrating and you think I'm going to get enough information, just click full text, and that's going to get rid of those. That makes it what you see is what you get. Those are all full
Okay, so
text.
Iliad is the only way to actually get that,
Um, no,
and
some
it's 7 to 10 days or something like that. You said.
Yes. So it's not good for a discussion post or if you have to have an annotation turn in a week, but for your dissertation in general, how do you have like a year or so off or where are you at with that? This year?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I have time, but
Yeah. Go ahead and request them.
it's one of those things that when you're sort of kind of doing it, you're kind of doing it. It's not like
I know what you I get it. Well, some
you'd be doing it 5 minutes from now, and then you're going to go do it, two, days later. You commit 5 hours this day, and that's the 5 hours that you're going to commit for the next couple of days, and then the next time you're at it, you're,
well, just
you know, days, doing the next day's worth of work. You're not going back, to the next, to the previous day to rehash work that you were doing, the day before.
okay. Well, if you just select full text, that'll get rid of it. Another thing you could do is have Google Scholar open while you're going through it. This one is look for text. Full text, we're not supposed to have it. I'll just go over into Google Scholar and see if it's really here. And
And that's what I've done. I've gone back and forth between Google Scholar and our library.
then you've
And
been
you
doing it
said, yeah,
great.
just click on full text, and that'll eliminate that. But I've wanted those articles. That those articles seem pretty relevant, and it just got pretty frustrating that I wasn't able to access those articles. So
If it drives you really crazy, just send the titles and at least one of the authors to me. Make a list. And I will find what I can and send the rest to Iliad and forward them to you.
okay,
That is an okay way to use my resources as well. And that might help me see some limitations to a database and suggest a different one as well. So that would be very helpful.
okay.
We can have that kind of back and forth.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's what it is, I mean, it's going to take you 7 days, like it's going to take me 7 days, right? So
Sometimes I got a little something something. I might be able to find something in a different place. We'll just put it there.
okay.
And sometimes I can find other things. So, and sometimes I can't, but you know,
Okay.
use me as you need to get this done. And because I see,
You master it, huh?
well, I see that you,
Got the codes and the keys.
I got some codes and some keys, so a little bit, not many. Because it looks like to me you've been bounced around. I think that one thing when you connect them up better, it's gonna light things up for you. But it looks like you're really, really on track and you're pretty focused. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm just ready to be done with this, actually.
you're like, why did I pick this at this point? Or
No, I mean, it is what it is, but, my fun meter's pegged with school right about now, so I'm
or
just ready to be done and over with it. I'm ready just to stick a fork in this baby and call it done.
all right. I can see it. Okay, well, I'm going to email this to you, the secret code and some other thing I wrote down. And if you need anything else from me, just let me know and I'll get it to you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good
Well,
night.